What's going on, guys? It's Thomas, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you exactly 7 different ways in which I scale my Facebook ad campaigns. Now, this is a post that I shared in my community in Ad Profits recently, and in complete fairness to my paying members, I'm not going to go into too much depth, which I am going to be doing for each one of these tactics inside of my community. So if you're wanting to learn a little bit more, if you wanted to really get involved, if you wanted to work with me one-on-one, there's a link down below. You can book a call, talk to either me or one of my team, and we'll be able to sort out exactly how we can help. So let's move on to the 7 scaling tactics. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I think it's really important to point out that ultimately scaling is very, very simple. To scale, you need to spend more money. Now, there needs to be a few things in place. Of course, you need proven ads, proven creatives. You also need an offer that converts. With those things in place, realistically, all you need to do to scale from $1,000 a day to $10,000 a day to $100,000 a day, spend more money. That's it. Now, the problem comes in, how do you spend more money? I often think people, media buyers, affiliates, overcomplicate this massively. It becomes very confusing. A lot of people are looking for some secret hack, some trick within the ad account, or some kind of button that they're going to push and scale to the moon with, minimal consequences. And that's just not the case. As you scale and spend more money, naturally your ROAS, your ROI is going to decrease, right? The more you spend. But that's made up in volume, right? So again, back to basics. How do we scale? We spend more money. So I want to walk you through the 7 ways in which you can spend more money in how we can scale. And I'm going to give a scenario. I like scenarios whenever I'm talking about things. It makes it easier to relate to, right? And I'm going to have the scenario of you're spending $1,000 per day and you want to scale to $10,000 per day. You have your winning creatives, you have your winning offer, an offer that's converting well. How do you go about spending more money? How do you go from that $1,000 a day to $10,000 a day without destroying the campaign? And obviously, that's often what can happen. So the first method, and probably the safest method, the easiest method to sort of do, and probably one that you already know, is duping, cloning the campaign. So you have your $1,000 a day campaign. It could be CBO, it could be ABO, bid cap, cost cap, highest volume. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter what it is. That's your campaign and that's what's working, right? The easiest method to increase spend is to take your $1,000 a day campaign, duplicate it, and move that to $2,000 a day. And now, with these 2 campaigns, you have a combined total of $3,000 per day. And you could do this however many times you wanted, right? I recommend you start with 1, you duplicate once, and I wouldn't go too far in the increase of budget, right? I'd usually double the budget and that would be it. I wouldn't duplicate my $1,000 a day campaign and all of a sudden have a $10,000 a day campaign, right? I'd have my $1,000 and my new clone, which is $2,000. I would not change a single other thing. I wouldn't change the targeting. I wouldn't change the geos. I wouldn't change the placements if I'm running manual placements. I wouldn't change the bid if I'm running bid caps. I wouldn't change anything apart from the budget. That would be the only thing that changes. And already from $1,000 a day, just with 1 clone, you now have $3,000 a day in spend, right? Easy. So the next one that we'll go into is surfing. And I'm sure, again, a lot of you probably have heard of surfing. This is a strategy, and there's a couple of strategies here that Tim Bird, who has been around for a long time, I don't see him too much now with Facebook ads in specific, or teaching and the talking that I used to do on stage. But he had a couple of really good strategies that were very effective. And one of them that he coined, and I'm not saying he created it or came up with it. I don't know who did. Maybe he did. I don't know. But one of them was called surfing. And surfing ultimately means riding the wave when it's hot. Okay. So if you imagine the Facebook algorithm is waves, okay, when you hit a good wave, you surf that wave, right? On bad days, on bad waves, you don't surf, right? You pull back. On good days, the good waves, you surf. And surfing would mean increasing the budget, okay, ultimately. So we have our $1,000 a day campaign. And let's say 4 o'clock in the morning, you already have 5 conversions. You're off to a really good start. It's looking hot. Ad account time zone, of course. Then what you could do is you could double the budget. Okay, so you go from $4,000 a day to $8,000. Sorry, from $1,000 a day to $2,000 a day. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. So now you're running $2,000 a day. Now, let's say, and by the way, just to preface as well, at that point at 4 a.m., when I'm making that decision as to whether I scale or surf, I'm looking at ROAS or ROI, right? So I'm looking at how much ROI do we have? And ideally, I'm looking for 100% plus. So ideally, I have 5 plus conversions and I have, 100% plus ROI or, 2x ROAS, whatever you want to call it, however you look at it, right? That's what I'm looking for. Now, if I had 5 conversions, but I only had, 40% ROI or 1.4 ROAS, then I wouldn't be surfing, right? Because that isn't strong enough. Like for me to double the budget and to, hope that it continues with performance, there's a very good chance that it doesn't. This strategy, this method is very volatile. Okay. So it's not really a recommended one unless you've got your proven creative, your proven ads, your offer, your lander, everything's proven and known to convert. This is where this comes into effect. And then obviously we want to see that performance in the morning. So let's go back to it. So 4 a.m., we double the budget. At 8 a.m., maybe our ROAS has dropped slightly. Maybe we're 1.8 or whatever, 1.8, 80%. And we have another bunch of conversions dropping. So now at this point, I'm going to double the budget again. So now we go from $2,000 to $4,000. And then again at 12 p.m., if we've got more conversions and our ROI and ROAS is still strong, I'm going to double again. So now we've gone from 4,000 to 8,000. And then I'm going to do it again at 4 p.m. if everything stays the same, right? If we're, again, more conversions and also our ROAS is staying strong. Now, the beauty of this is we've just taken a $1,000 a day campaign to $16,000 a day in the space of a few hours. But we can only do it when performance is hot, when things are going well, when the offer's converting, when the ads are running smoothly and running like a dream, right? So it's not every day we can do this. Hopefully sometimes or the majority of days we can, but not always. There's got to be a few things that fall into place with this. But it's by far the fastest way to scale intraday, by far. The issue is, obviously, you need, that really bulletproof creative, you need solid conversion rate, and you need a stomach for volatility. This is a volatile method that can really, make or break you. So it's definitely, for the strong-hearted, for sure, right? But it's by far one of the best ways to really amp up budgets from within one campaign. All right, number 3 is structural scaling. And what I mean by this is multiple campaigns, different structures, okay? And campaign structures is just how you structure the campaign. So if we go back to our $1,000 a day campaign, now what we can do is we can sort of scale sideways, right? By testing new campaign structures with our winning ads. So we can use the same proven assets, the same creatives, angles, ad copy, existing post IDs, the same landers and funnels that we're running, but we can duplicate or create new and run an advantage sales campaign or an ASC plus campaign. We can do that with cost per result, or we can do it just as normal, right? We can also duplicate and run bid caps or cost caps, okay? We can also duplicate, run lifetime budgets with day parting to only run during the hours where our offer converts best. At this stage, you should have enough data to be able to look through your conversion windows, your hours of day, to see exactly where this offer converts best. In my experience, 90% of offers have always converted between, let's say, a broad window, 1 a.m. and 4 p.m. Okay. Now, usually it's a little bit later than that, say 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. But, I've got some offers, ED, neuropathy, that convert really well in the middle of the night. And then obviously they continue through the morning as well. So that's another campaign structure. And there's lots of different campaign structures that you could, duplicate into. Again, bid caps, cost caps are really good ones and ones that I really do like. And then you've got different elements of bid cap and cost cap. Overbidding, underbidding with bid caps is really, really, really good. So big budgets, little budgets, right? ABO, CBO. There's lots of different ways in which you can sort of duplicate your campaign. So again, if you take your $1,000 a day campaign and you duplicate it into ASC at $1,000 a day, and you duplicate it into a cost cap campaign at $1,000 a day, and a bid cap campaign at $1,000 a day, and a lifetime budget, all of a sudden you can quickly amount to $5,000 or $6,000 a day in spend. And again, when if you pair that with one or two of those campaigns really hit off and you surf them, then you've got a really good campaign going there. You've got a really good, opportunity to scale into big spend, right? Now, one argument could be, that's unnecessary. It's overlap, it's overkill. And there could be some point to that. But ultimately, the offers that I run anyway, potential reach, which you never hit, but potential audiences of usually 100 million plus if I'm running broad, which is quite usual. And if we're spending just $1,000 a day on a campaign, how realistic are we going to have super serious overlap? There probably will be some, but is it enough to negate performance? I doubt it. Obviously some people have different opinions. One campaign rules them all. I get it. It's fine. But when we want to scale hard, I don't have the patience to scale 10% every 3 days, 20% every 7 days. I want to get performance now while it's hot. Okay. And that's the difference, especially between affiliate and a brand. I'm getting paid on front end performance. I'm not getting paid on what comes down the funnel 7 days, 2 weeks, 2 months later. I'm not looking at blended CPAs, which a lot of the e-com guys are, because, they're promoting a brand and people go on search. And then, I'm promoting through my affiliate link, cold traffic, top of funnel. And that's where I'm going, right? So for me, doing it this way as an affiliate makes way more sense than, the sort of brand, which again, I'm not dissing that at all, but this is how it's worked for me. And this is one of the best ways to scale. I can't really think of many campaigns or accounts that I've ran in the last 5 years, and I've scaled multiple times into 6 figures a day and 200K plus days. I can't remember a time when I've done it just with one campaign. There's always been multiple campaigns, right? And it shows, right? It's just an easier way to really squeeze as much juice out of that lemon as possible. So a good way to look at it is to, stack them smart, right? Stack up campaigns and ultimately, hopefully, all doing a bit. And if not, some of them are, losing money, you can turn them off or whatever you want to do, reduce the bid, depending on what it is, and just let the money run through, the budget run through to the stuff that is working. Okay, number 4 is branching. So this is where we scale into new audiences. So a lot of the time when we're testing, again, going back to our $1,000 a day campaign, we branch out into new audiences. So we can, again, duplicate our campaign, which is $1,000 a day and usually run into broad. And then we can have a campaign where we're maybe testing a different assortment of interests related to the offer, related to the audience. And this way we can squeeze the juice, right? We can test interest stacks. We can test single interests if they're quite big interests. This way we're able to really increase our spend. We can also do the same by testing lookalike audiences, and you can test 1 to 10% of different segments of the audience. Customer lists, purchases, checkouts, page views, video views, quiz completions, whatever you want to do, right? But there's a lot of audiences that we can test. And I do see best performance comes from broad usually and most consistently, but I still see really good performance come from audiences, even though all the gurus say that audiences are dead. You should never run lookalikes or interests. I disagree. When you're looking to scale and squeeze more juice out of the lemon, I think a really good way of doing that is scaling into audiences. Just going off that, if we were to have an audience per campaign, we have our $1,000 a day CBO with broad. Then we duplicate and have a CBO with lookalike audience of customer list, $1,000 a day. Then we have a lookalike audience of purchases, $1,000 a day. Then we have a lookalike of checkouts, $1,000 a day. Then we have interest stacks, $1,000 a day. Single interest, $1,000 a day. We can quickly really amp up our spend just by targeting and scaling into audiences. Do we do this all the time? No. I'm giving you 7 different things that I do. I don't do all of these things in one account all the time. Sometimes I'll only do 1. Sometimes I'll do 2 or 3. Sometimes I'll test each one and they don't always work out. I'm giving you options, right? I'm giving you the playbook on where I go to first to scale. All right, so branching is a really good way to sort of expand your reach into audiences which are quite often low-hanging fruit. Again, you might not be able to scale consistently for 6 months running into a lookalike of 2%, but you might be able to for the next couple of weeks, and you might be able to make a shit ton of money as a cash cow, as an affiliate, which is really what we want. I'm not too bothered if I'm running the same offer 6 months down the line. It's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to make as much money as I can from the current offer and then move on to the next one, right? All right, so next is geo scaling. Sort of comes hand in hand with interest or audience scaling. This is where we just duplicate into new geos. So if our $1,000 a day campaign is US only, then we can scale into UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. We can scale into Europe. We can scale into, parts of Asia or wherever. This is by far one of the best ways to really, really expand that audience. Again, I'm not saying that you have to run US only to start with. Quite often I'll run multiple geos to start with. Quite often, I mix and match. Sometimes I'll start with US, then it allows me to scale into, this is a good example because this is something that I've literally just done today. I had a CBO campaign, $1,000 a day, US, for a mail enhancement offer that I'm running. It did really well yesterday. Today, I duplicated the exact same campaign, decided to add tier 1 and tier 2 geos that I know convert well for mail enhancement. That took off crazy good. So then UK was getting a lot of sales, Canada's getting sales. So then I'm duplicating and targeting UK only, Canada only. So now I've took my $1,000 a day campaign that I had yesterday, and now I have $5,000 a day through 5 different campaigns. And they're all getting sales and they're all profitable as of right now. So that shows, right, that works. That's a really good way to scale. Go into different geos. Now, amplify that with, all right, well, I've gone into different geos. I'm spending $5,000 a day. I'm profitable. How do I get to 10,000? Why not take lookalikes or interests, like what we just talked about in the previous scaling tactic, where you can branch out into other interests or lookalikes in different geos. So if you were to take all of your 5 campaigns hitting different geos, duplicate all of them and add a lookalike audience, you've just doubled your spend, right? Again, how do we scale? We spend more money. Simple, right? That's literally it. So geo scaling is, again, one of my favorite ways to go. Number 6 is creative scaling. And this is something that I've seen a lot of, okay? That a lot of people talking about this, and I see a lot of truth to it. Gone are the days, in my opinion and experience, where you can scale a single ad to 50 or 100K a day. And unfortunately, I've done that many times in the past, but have not been able to do that for the longest time. So to offset that, you need creative volume. You need to have creative output. Quite often, I'll start off a CBO campaign with 20 or 30 different individual creatives. Then I can pick out winners if I want to and scale into new CBOs where I've just got those winning ads, right? You need to have new creative coming into your ad account at least weekly, at least once a week. I really do think so. If you want to scale, you need creative output. taking iterations of existing winners, different, introducing new hooks, new bodies, new call to actions, new visuals, introducing completely new angles, completely new scripts, completely new images is very, very important. I really do think it is. Obviously, emphasis on what's winning, okay? Emphasis on testing iterations of what's winning. But also, you definitely need to be testing out new things as well. New angles, new concepts. Really, really important that you do need variety within your ad account. I've seen it many times, and I'm seeing a lot of people who, stick to just testing a certain type of video. They get stuck. They can't scale because they're relying on one single concept. Yeah, they might be testing a few hooks, but you need more than that in your ad account. You need variety. I'm seeing really good success at the moment with images. A lot of volume going to images and different styles of image. And then I'm also seeing decent volume to certain types of video, UGC, some B-roll stuff. That's working very well as well. But if I was solely relying on one style or one concept, I'm really leaving a lot of money on the table. So I do think it's important that you test variety of creative concepts. All right, the seventh one. I know it's been a little bit of a longer video. Actually, it's not been that long. Hopefully, I'm not talking too fast. Hopefully, you can slow me down. I don't know if you can or not. But the seventh one is probably my favorite, and it's funnel flexing. Now, I don't see this being talked about too much. And again, I'm not saying that it's brand new to me, right? Like I know people do this, but I just haven't seen it talked about too much, especially in the affiliate space. And I think a lot of affiliates ignore this completely. And funnel flexing is basically testing your landing page or your funnel, depending on how you're structured. When I go through spy tools like Spy Hero and I'm doing research, 95% of ads run to a simple splash page. And I get it, they work, high click-through rate, more clicks to the offer, and obviously let the VSL do the pre-selling. Completely understandable, I get it, it worked well a while ago. I don't see it work so well anymore. Or it still works if you've got an amazing offer that converts well. And I still see so many affiliates dependent on it. And I've seen literally doubling, I've been able to double my conversion rate just by switching out the landing page. And the way I scale with this is I can hit different segments of the audience by implementing different landing pages. So for instance, I'm very big on quiz funnels. Okay. So I have, in fact, I'm very heavy on quiz funnels right now. Majority of my winning page is a quiz. But I'm not just, yes or no, male or female, age, which hand you drink your coffee with, which I remember from a while ago for weight loss was a question, and which performed really well, by the way, but completely nothing to do, no relevancy at all with the offer. What I'm seeing is really twisting the knife with the quiz. So what this allows us to do is, by having different funnels for our ads, we've got quiz funnels, we've got advertorial funnels, we've got review style pages, which I rarely see like cold Facebook affiliates use with Nutra offers. They work amazingly well. But review style pages, advertorials, quiz funnels, it allows us to hit every different segment of buyer: logical buyers, emotional buyers, skeptical buyers, scrollers who just need a reason to click, right? We can hit them all. And we can really pre-frame with a quiz. We can really twist that knife, create a lot of high intent. And like I said before, I've doubled my conversion rate on the offer by having a really good quiz. We can have with the review page can really help build trust and frame the product as number one. And little hint, if you can find, if you're doing a top 3 review page, if you can find 2 other affiliate offers in that niche and that have variety, well, then you've got 3 times as much chance of making a sale. If number 3, let's say in neuropathy, number 3 is a foot mat, number 2's some foot cream, and number 1 is a supplement. Boom. If you get the link, affiliate link, and by the way, there's one on GiddyUp for a foot mat. If you get one for a cream, probably, I don't know, Amazon or somewhere, which you'll get some pennies at least, and then a supplement, well, you can get supplements on ClickBank, Buy Goods, Digistore, and everywhere else. You've got 3 times free chances of making money by doing that, right? And obviously you want to try and push the main one, the number one recommended product, but the other two could be well recommended as well, right? And then you're catering for different segments of the market again. Not everyone wants to buy a supplement. They might want to buy an electro pad or whatever they're called, like the electro, I don't know what they are, pulsing pad, I don't know. Or someone might want a cream or a foot bath or whatever, right? Whatever caters for that niche, for that offer. So those are 7 different strategies that I use. And each one of them is amazing. And each one can really increase spend. Now, going back to that number 7, how does the funnels increase spend? Well, I can have one campaign that's go into my quiz funnel, and I can help in the ad copy and the creative pre-frame the quiz funnel. And then I can have a different campaign that's suited to the review style, and another campaign suited to an advertorial story, right? So I've got 3 different campaigns for 3 different funnels, all going to the same offer or similar offers. And I've just 3x my spend. And you could keep on doing this. You could have a splash page. You could go straight to a VSL. You could have a mini VSL, right? There's a lot of different things that you can do here that really help boost conversion rate. And realistically, when we're scaling, that's what we need. We need to keep that conversion rate up as high as possible to really maximize that performance. All right. So again, ultimately, we need to spend more money to scale. And I've just given you 7 different ways or ideas that you can use to increase your spend. Each one of them works. Some of them are common sense. Everyone knows about cloning campaigns or duplicating campaigns. You can also increase spend of existing campaigns 20% here and there. One tip that I didn't mention for the surfing is instead of just duplicating the budget directly, you can add budget scheduling. It's a really nifty little trick that actually an Ad Profits member came up with going back probably 4 or 5 months ago. Really good little way of surfing. Instead of potentially destroying a campaign by actually increasing budget, which is very hit and miss and volatile, budget scheduling seems to be way more consistent. And you can do that within your campaign and ad set. So there's 7 ways. I would love to hear questions, feedback on the content. It's a different style of content, I know, where I'm just talking to the camera. You have to make do with my ugly mug. Hopefully I wasn't talking too fast. I noticed when I talk about things I'm passionate about, I get carried away. So hopefully there's good, clear transcription or subtitles that you can follow if I was talking too fast. I know I've got an audience from all around the world, and for a lot of people, English isn't the first language. So hopefully you understand me. And even for English people, you probably don't understand me either. All right, but I've enjoyed making this video. I'm planning to get a whiteboard as well for some other content, just to make it a bit more visual instead of looking at my ugly mug. But at least you can look at the awards behind me and my nice bull and the picture of Ashton Memorial up there as well. Now, before we wrap it up, I do want to invite you, just, if you're an affiliate who's spending $500 a day, $1,000 a day, and you're really looking to scale, obviously you've got some tips here. You may already know about these. You may want to know a little bit more about them. You may want to have a coach, consultant, someone who you can work with one-on-one in private or on group calls. We have 2 different options. We have a group coaching, and we also have the private coaching one-on-one where you work with me directly. If you're interested in that, then I really do recommend you book a call below. There's a link in the description below. You can book a call. You'll talk to either myself or Alfred on the call, and we'll be able to point you in exactly the right direction and hopefully give you something to walk away with, a good plan to really help you scale into 4, 5, 6-figure days. All right, guys, Thomas Owen signing out.